Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Hollywood surviving until 25. That was the mantra for a while, right? Survive until 25. And now it's 2025 and it's not looking too good for people in Hollywood. I'm going to be honest.
The mantra now is, oh crap.
Pretty much, yeah. It's not good. We're going to talk about Hollywood and the admission that these strikes in many ways failed. In fact, the strikes actually exacerbated the problem, which was a lot of studios were cutting back on productions. And if you become more expensive, guess what? You're gone. We're going to talk about outsourcing. We're going to talk about AI. We're going to talk about AI and how that's going to factor into it. And like, I want to be very clear up front. I feel like I have to make this disclaimer every time we talk about Hollywood. I have to say it because people are like, you're just happy people lost their jobs. No. I'm not, but it was inevitable if you looked at the situation and, we said, hey, look, guys, this is what's going to happen. If you go on strike now, you're going to be a lot more expensive. And there are a lot of alternatives to hiring overpriced people in LA and keeping production in LA. And lo and behold, it's happening.
Shocker.
Shocker. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you will get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Go out to clownfishtv.com, go out to clownfishminus.com, join the Plus Club, check out our merch. Thank you for the support. We survived until 2025.
Yeah, well, let's hope we do more than that.
We're going to try to survive longer than that. But yeah, so this is example number 587 of the strikes basically backfiring on the people that went on strike. They had a work stoppage in Hollywood. The studios looked at it as a reason to curtail spending, cancel shows that didn't work, cancel people that were a pain in the ass. And they were saving money. I think they were actually happy. They're like, yeah, we'll give you whatever you want. Sure, we'll give you what you want because we're not going to hire very many of you.
Right. Like we said before, those who get to stay will get, but a lot of you won't get to stay. It's not really that hard.
Yeah, so this was in 24, I guess. This is coming from the LA Times. One of the most read articles in 2024 centered on below-the-line TV and film workers struggling in the Hollywood slowdown. We tracked down the same workers to find out where are they now? Are they back to work?
Oh, yeah, because I remember because I'm like, I saw this picture before. I know we talked about this before.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is a follow-up to that?
This is a follow-up, and
okay.
A lot of them have not gone back to work. I don't think
it's surprised.
I don't think it's as bad as it was, but I know checking out like the animation forums and subreddits and stuff, a lot of people are talking about leaving the industry entirely, getting into something else because they're like, I don't know when this is going to pick back up. And the Animation Guild just ratified their contract, but I'm telling you, the people that get to stay are going to be treated better, but not a lot of you are going to get to stay. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Weirdly enough, should I mention this? I'm going to mention it. One of our most vocal critics, it turns out, is Unemployed and has been for several months.
Oh, yeah, shocker.
So, they have lots of time to make videos about us.
That's what happens when you swing dead cats.
Anyway, so despite the industry mantra, unemployment anxieties linger as we head into the new year. And again, look, I'm not happy about a lot of people being out of work. They said to keep up the spirit in a year marked by unrelenting uncertainty, many crew members have clung to the mantra survive till 25.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's 2025 now.
Yeah. So this was on New Year's Eve they put this up. But with 2025 here, even those who have stayed afloat are bracing for what comes next. This person, Keith Dunkerley, was a director of photography, and he worked only 18 days during the first 5 months of the year. Damn.
But he got a full-time job.
He did get a full-time job. Yeah.
So that's good.
I've been very lucky, unlike a lot of friends. So many friends are still out of work or it's really slow. Fingers crossed it picks back up next year. Yeah, we've actually had people in the comments that said they have folks that are working in Hollywood right now. And, some of their family members or friends, decades in the industry, and they're not working. right now because, again, they're cutting back on all the stuff. So this is interesting. They're talking about the challenges facing Hollywood predating the strikes.
Okay, here's what gets me. They're saying predating the strikes, streaming platforms. Okay, yes, streaming has come to be a problem now. But for a while, they were like greenlighting and doing all kinds of shows on streaming, so they made a plethora of jobs. I think it oversaturated the market and made it look like the market was going to stay plentiful because there was a lot of things greenlit that they later had to cancel. So I would say, the streaming platforms actually, until the strikes gave them the opportunity to cancel things, were the opposite. They weren't a problem. They weren't a challenge so much as it was that everybody was getting gigs or greenlighting all these shows. They were hiring people in droves. Was 600 and some shows were being done because of streaming?
It was ridiculous.
So that wasn't a challenge until the strike gave them a chance to cancel things.
And that's just it. I think they had a lot of buyer's remorse. I mean, you look at the stuff that was canceled first, and it was like, yeah, this obviously isn't going to go anywhere. They were giving deals to people that probably shouldn't have gotten deals. They were handing the reins over to people that probably should have been in charge of the show.
And then they had too much, greenlit too much, and then they used the strikes as an excuse to get rid of them. And then they said, then they slashed budgets and cut jobs. Yeah, the strikes are why they slashed budgets and cut jobs.
Yes.
They said film and TV production in LA remained 5% lower in the third quarter of 2024 compared to the previous year. And then down below it, they're talking about Newsom wanting to make, go to double the annual tax credit because everybody's going other places to film.
But
it's too expensive.
But if it gets through, it's not going to take effect until the middle of 2025. And they're like, yeah, many LA-based crew members are wondering if it's even going to help because, a lot of people are moving on. So, yeah, this person said that they're back to work, I guess. But the recovery is far from even. But he's seeing full parking lots at studios and sound stages booked. There's work out here, but it's not being spread around. He considers himself fortunate to have stayed employed since the strikes ended, but hiring has been concentrated among a shrinking pool of workers, rolling back gains in diversity and shutting out newcomers.
If only someone had told you that was going to happen. But we're always wrong, and we're just negative and lie, right?
Hey, look, if you've got to pay twice as much for somebody, are you going to hire somebody that has 20 years of experience or 2 years of experience?
Somebody who has 20 years of experience is more likely going to keep their mouth shut too and not run at the mouth and make themselves unemployable anyway.
Yeah. So here we go. Now they're pulling the race card here. Coming off the Me Too movement, people were specifically starting to make it a point to get women and people of color on their crew. The doors were a little bit more cracked open. Now they're slowly closing more and more. I think it's subconscious. I don't think people mean to do it, but it's just going back that people are starting to take care of their own. No, it's people are hiring the most qualified people for the job.
Yeah, but that implies that there aren't people that are minorities that are qualified.
No. But I'm just saying, like, okay, so let me rephrase that.
Yes.
People are hiring people with experience, and a lot of the people that have been hired more recently were hired because of DEI initiatives, and they were not necessarily experienced, so they're the first ones to go.
Or they didn't have, like they said, the years in. So if you have a choice between somebody who's had like 2 years in and somebody who's had like 20 years in, who are you going to pick? That being said, does not mean that all those people with years and years of experience are not, minorities. But there's going to probably be fewer people because a lot of the recent decisions have been based on things outside of skill.
Right.
And if you're going to have somebody who has years and years of experience or someone who doesn't, it's more likely probably not going to be the minority groups, which I don't think is right.
Right.
I'm not saying that's right at all. I'm just saying that's the reality.
If you hire, okay, so here's the thing. Like, if you've got somebody that's been working in the industry that is a queer woman of color and she's got 20 plus years of experience and she's got a proven track record and you know what to expect, she gets the job done, she's going to keep her job. Somebody that they just hired right out of college that they only hired because she was a queer woman of color who doesn't have the experience and runs at the mouth on social media.
See, that last part, I think, is a big part of it. It's the runs at the mouth part. Because you have a lot of these younger people, not all of them, but you have a lot of these younger people coming in that got hired because they hit right checkboxes who don't fucking shut up. Sorry, don't flipping shut up. And they just keep continually, constantly. Everything's about, istophobia, and it's because of microaggressions, and it's because, blah, 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 blah. They don't know what they're talking about. You're just at blah, blah, blah. They're the ones who probably call back because beyond the fact they don't have the experience, they are annoying as heck, and they are going to be difficult to work with. And we know attitude is a big part of it. We've talked about this.
Yeah, and I mean that was in the other video talking about the animation industry. We're going to get to
And I
animation.
think it's across the board, guys. Attitude is going to determine a lot of things.
But they said basically be pleasant to work with, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be a pushover, but you got to be competent. Like you can get away with being an asshole if you're very, very competent and you always make the studio money. Or maybe you're not as competent, but you're a pleasure to be around. You get it done. You're not the best, but you're okay.
And that ties into this next paragraph you've highlighted.
Yeah, the scarcity of opportunities has created palpable tension on set. Fink says people are getting meaner.
Well, it's understandable, but yeah.
Full-time crew members tend to be kinder because they know how lucky they are, but the ones who aren't working as much, that's all they can talk about.
It's understandable.
People are depressing and dividing people.
It's understandable that they're worried and that's all they can talk about. It's sad, but it's understandable.
All they can do is make videos about YouTubers that they hate because they're unemployed and they're very angry and somehow it's our fault. So this is they run this Crew Stories private Facebook group. What's really depressing about this though is they're talking about all the financial need that people are having, losing their cars, losing health insurance, and self-harm, suicide.
Oh my God, this is so sad though. They said they run this private group, and they said originally it was supposed to be about funny stories that and now it's about the pandemic. They went through the pandemic, it became the strikes and financial instability, and there's people pleading for help and everything else, and that makes me sad. But you know what? At the same time is we told you guys this is going to happen. You had time to pivot.
Yeah, I think that, the cautionary tale here is that regardless of what you're doing now, it doesn't mean you're going to be doing it forever. And as someone who's had to pivot multiple times in my life, like I'm telling you, you need to have another skill set. You cannot depend on your industry staying the same forever. It's just not going to happen. And I think some people are going to come out of this better off. I think they're probably going to be like, oh, I'm going to go do my own thing, or I'm going to go try to do something else. But some people just don't see hope. Well, that's what they're
saying. They said the suicide rate's high, which, look, I don't ever want to see that happen to anyone. But you really, if you are thinking that things are going to get worse for you, my best, one, call the hotlines, go speak to somebody. But also, it might be time to change jobs.
Yeah.
I know you might not want to hear that, but I think a lot of people throughout their lives, except for like a few, types of jobs, they have to change at some point because it's just not viable long term.
No, and that's just it. Like you can be at the top of the world 1 minute and then at the bottom of the pile, the next. And anybody who's been successful or has had any kind of career in anything for any length of time, they've had highs and lows. And
yeah, I mean, like, we are not making fun of anybody who's in these positions at all, because we've been there. We've been there. We've almost lost everything, or came really close to losing the house and everything else, and we didn't know what we're gonna do. I mean, it's happened to us before. I mean, I relate. I understand. But what we had to do was we had to be like, okay, this isn't working. We have to change it up.
Right. And that's what people have to do. And I think it's people's refusal to do that, or to start lashing out at people that are saying, hey, there's a problem here. And that's the thing. Like, we've seen so many people that are like, lashing out, like, how dare you?
Animation's going to be in the same situation. I'm sorry. If not worse so, because AI.
It's going to be worse. We're going to get there. We're getting there.
I'm just giving you the heads up, guys. I'm not going to be mean. No. I'm telling you because you need to be prepared for this.
So this is Fink. Who's Fink here? I believe in the power of unions, and I supported the strikes enthusiastically.
That's the one that was a sound engineer. Yeah.
Okay. On the other side of the strikes, we're in a terrible place. The working class put their last good years on the line, and now productions are moving overseas.
We told you guys.
The people we fought for aren't fighting to keep work here. So that's going to segue into the next section, and animation is going to absolutely positively be the most affected, and visual effects work, because that can pretty much be done from anywhere. I'm not saying it's ideal. I'm just saying it can be done from anywhere. And already DreamWorks has said they're going to outsource more. Disney's got a Canadian studio set. Moana 2 is almost at $1 billion right now. That's going to be a hell of an incentive. Be like, hey, we can just set up shop anywhere. DreamWorks, even before they made a big announcement about outsourcing, I'm pretty sure it was Puss in Boots. The first Puss in Boots was done almost entirely in India, and a fraction of the cost of doing it here in the States. So just to talk about the outsourcing first, I'm seeing all kinds of stories about Malaysia. Malaysia is blowing up in terms of animation and esports and video game development, and it's becoming another place that everybody's kind of outsourcing to right now. This was coming from one of their papers with Sonar Daily. I don't know. I'm not familiar with Malaysia, but they were basically talking about how the economy is picking up over there because they're sending all kinds of video game work and animation work and VFX work to Malaysia, where it costs a lot less.
Yeah. Now, the only thing about this is what they do. They cycle through these countries, and as soon as they send all the work there, and then the cost of living goes up in relation to the work going up, and everything starts to be expensive again, then they'll just drop them like a hot potato and go to the next place they think is going to be a good place to go. And I think what they need to do, and I've said this, for different places across the board, I think jobs in general, they need to make it harder to ship them out overseas. Honestly, at the savings they're making, they really aren't saving that much at this point in time for a lot of things. Now, animation might not be the case, but I'm saying other things like manufacturing and stuff. Yeah. It's not much. It's not much of a difference. And if you would give incentives, then the jobs would stay here. But unfortunately, the lobbyists have the money, and the companies and the studios have the money, and they're going to do what is going to benefit them. It
is the studio executives' job to make sure the company makes as much money as possible.
And that's why they get lots of money, way more money than they should get paid, even if they fail.
Because they're probably saving how many millions and millions and millions of dollars, so they give them millions of dollars. And it sucks. It's
not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's the reality. Right. Again, I need a shirt that says, not saying it's right, it's just the reality.
So there are a couple of articles you sent here talking about training AI models and on artist work, and they're saying there's a lot of risks, and I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. At this point, if you as an individual artist do not want to train an AI or help or consent to the AI using your work, there are 10,000 other people that don't give a shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm old and grumpy, so I'm gonna tell you what's probably gonna happen. So yeah, they're talking about studios training the AI on artists' work. Again, the studio's job is to make as much money as possible, to make a profit. A lot of these people in charge are not creative. They don't give a shit that you draw good, that mom puts your picture on the fridge.
A lot of the work that you're doing that they be training in on isn't your personal work. It's your work that you do in the studio for them, of their IP, of their characters. Yes, of course, they design the characters. But I'm just saying it's going to be like there's like a certain look to, like Disney has a certain look or the studio has a certain look. So they're going to argue that you got paid for that work and they own it. So
yeah,
they do it with comics all the time.
Yeah, and that's going to be really tricky because like in the 90s and 2000s, kind of the Disney house style was Glenn Keane because he was such a huge influence on Disney. And if they could own his style, they would do it. But if you look at his work, you're like, that is like the most Disney-looking Disney style ever, indicative of modern Renaissance era Disney. So yeah, there are certain artists for these companies that leave a mark on the company. But at the end of the day, they worked for the company, which means the company owns their art.
What they did at the company, yes.
Yeah, and if they want to train, if they consent to train the AI to help them make more work like that. If James Earl Jones agrees to sell his voice so they can have Darth Vader forever. Yeah, but
the same thing. I mean, an artist, the studio consents. That's neither here nor there. Because if you're at the studio working your 9 to 5, getting paid your paycheck, whatever you do at the studio, is owned by the studio. So it doesn't matter. Like if they use your art to train it, as long as it's stuff that they paid for, that they technically own from you. You know what I mean? There's a difference between that and like James Earl Jones selling his voice, or because they made a style look similar to somebody that they'd have to get his permission, not necessarily.
So let me tell you what's going to happen, unless you are, and again, this isn't me being Debbie Downer, this is me being a realist, right? Unless you are a proven success, you yourself, your art, your style brings millions of dollars to the company. Even if you go to work for the company and you say, hey, I do not consent for you to use my art to train your robots to make more art like me after I'm gone or
There's
whatever.
The door.
There's the door. That's exactly.
They're going to start putting clauses in the contracts 10-1 that you agreeing that by working at Disney Studios that you agree that we can use what you work on here to train. I guarantee that's what's going to happen.
Well, okay, so they're talking specifically about the Animation Guild. They said they weren't able to secure proposed restrictions against training artists assets provided on the job, which would include the
Yes,
possibility
exactly.
of model fine-tuning. Likewise,
Provided on the job.
Yep. Likewise, many artists are work for hire, and not every artist or studio is in the union. For example, Pixar is not, Marvel Animation is. The new TAG contract also doesn't allow union artists to reject having to use AI as a condition of employment.
Okay.
Yeah, writers won in last fall's WGA agreement. Well, there's a huge kind of a difference here. Like the writer, basically, the AI could replace them completely, and I don't think that AI can completely replace animation workers, but you're not going to be needing as many.
Yeah, but they're saying that you're going to have to agree that you're okay with that. You're going to allow the AI to train on stuff like they might say to you, hey, you have to use generative AI to do this project. And you might not want to do that because you're thinking, no, it's going to hurt other artists. But if you work there, they're basically saying you have to do it.
And there's a door. That's
it. Do it or there's a door.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but like this, if you work in the studio system, you work for a corporation, it doesn't matter if it's making widgets or making cartoons. It's all the same shit. You tell the company that you've got a problem with how they do things. Like, I object to you publishing this whatever because of my personal religious beliefs.
They don't care.
They don't care. They'll be like, they might make a couple exceptions here and there, but for
just
the most part,
to make sure they adhere to like other laws.
Right. But for the most part, they're like, we hired you to do a job for us, and your job is to make money for us. Right. And people don't understand that. Like, you're not hired because everybody wants to sing Kumbaya and just make whatever the hell they want to make. You're hired at a job, any job, to help your company make money. And if you can't do that, they'll find somebody else who will do that, right?
Pretty much.
Like, I don't know what to tell you. But they said, artist sources shared with VIP, that'd be Variety, that the artist community has already been experiencing layoffs, fall-offs in work, and unusual decreases in compensation this year. Oh my God, guys, I thought everything was fine. Thought it was okay. Everything was good.
Mm-hmm. No, we're just making it up.
Just go out to any of the animation subreddits, and most of these people are out of work now, looking for work, scared to death. And I'm sorry, I really am. It's hard to direct.
Like we keep telling you,
have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan.
We keep telling you.
It's hard to directly attribute all these effects to AI. It is disruptive. It has an impact, and it's tough to ignore.
Right. It's not all AI's fault. I think the AI is going to make it worse.
Yeah. Entertainment worker attitudes on mandating consent for generative AI. So here's a question. For which of these uses of AI, if any, do you think consent should be required? 77% replacing a person.
I agree. A person's face.
Or a person's face. Yeah,
I agree.
I think. Let's see. This is 73% digitally replicating someone's voice.
I agree.
68% creating a realistic avatar version of a person. Yeah, I think so.
You'd have to, yes.
Yeah. 66% generating art images in the visual style of a specific artist.
Yeah, it's still kind of...
Can't really copyright that, though. That's the thing.
Your style, yeah. Same with music and the sound or style of an artist. Again, because there's a lot of people who are inspired by that don't use AI. And they're not copying directly, so...
Yeah, so here's what's going to happen. Basically, they're going to use the work that you do for hire, even if you get a job going forward, to potentially train... I'm not going to say your replacement, but the future replacements, I guess, the future staff, the future, because like you can have one artist that has a really kick-ass style that makes the studio a lot of money. That person leaves or dies or retires or whatever. And then Disney's going to be like, oh, we got Glenn Keane forever. We can do Glenn Keane style, because you can't copyright or trademark style. Yeah,
see, that's the problem. Like for actors or people that are like physically there, they have their voice or whatever, and their likenesses, it's going to be a lot harder to get away with taking things because you really can't steal someone's likeness or voice without their permission. The issue is this part. Let's go back up. The studio can do whatever they want with the drawings they've hired an artist to produce.
Yeah.
Said Sam Tung, a storyboard artist who is involved in the AI task force and started on the negotiation committee. The apprehension among tag workers is that you're effectively digging your own grave if you draw a bunch of character designs or storyboards that get fed into a studio's internal data set and make the AI system even better at making characters or storyboards. Exactly. That's what we're trying to tell you. That is the problem.
You're training your replacement, but if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Right. So we're... Yeah. So we're...
What do you do?
An actor or a voice actor or something might have more protection. Somebody who's doing art, I think somebody who's doing like even the sound effects and special effects might not have the same level of, people on their side because the percentages prior is high for them is what they think it should or shouldn't be allowed. And your work for hire. So if they want to use your work to train AI to do your work, you know what I mean? Screw you over.
That's coming too. Eventually, they're going to train AI to just
screw you over. Let's put it that way. You're working there. They paid you. We've seen it before without AI, just with reprinting comics or reprinting different things. That they can do that because you work for hire and they own it.
So, I mean, I guess devil's advocate here, and some people think I am the devil, so I'll be devil's advocate. Devil's advocate. How is it any different than training creatives to draw in what's considered to be a house style, which originally started out as somebody else's style? Right? It started out as a unique style. A person came to work for that company. That style was very popular. Other people started aping that style. Now they just
that's just it.
Like that.
Because for Disney, for example, they'll decide what the character look for the movie is. Like, say, for example, Atlantis is drawn very differently than, Little Mermaid or whatever. And they'll pick a style for it and they'll do the character designs. Like, usually whoever's in charge will decide what style you're going to use and things like that. And then everybody has to use the model sheets to work from that. And then everybody has to learn to draw in that style. You're right. That's no different.
Yeah. So, I mean, basically what they're going to be doing is like, the style is very popular. We're going to have an artist, come up with the look for this movie, these characters, and then the AI is going to make sure that everything is consistent.
The only thing that I think would dissuade companies from doing that and going all in on AI completely is the fact that right now, currently, the copyright issues involving AI. However, I guarantee you, people like Disney and stuff are going to throw tons and tons of money at changing the law, because they do that all the time, to try to get that stuff copyrightable so that they can that they decide to do a new character that's using AI, that they get to keep the rights to it. Otherwise, everybody could run with it, and they're gonna make sure that they cover their butts, because they always do. What was this about? Go back up.
We're talking about factors affecting generative AI use. Which of the following, if any, are challenges you, your team, or your company consider relevant to using AI? So basically, like, what's holding you back?
Number 2 is just what I said.
Concerns about copyright.
Number 1, uncertainty about the quality of AI-generated content, concerns about copyright infringement, ethical concerns, or uncertainty about the source of AI training, limitations in the efficacy of AI tools, high cost implementing AI solutions, uncertainty about how existing or pending regulations apply, blah, blah, blah. But number 2, it was one of the top 2, was concerns about copyright infringement, because so far the laws aren't set up that they'll consider it copyright infringing. Disney just kind of had that going on. Their new store that's like a little broom closet. The Madame Leota's Somewhere Beyond. One of the portraits on the wall was this ghostly bride.
Oh yeah.
And basically what happened was it was a picture, and I think they think it's AI generated, from Redbubble. And Disney either purchased it from Redbubble or just used it and put it on their wall. And if they did take it and put it on their wall and it was AI generated, they probably would be okay to do it because there aren't laws against it. But if it was going to come down to their stuff, you better darn well believe they're not going to go all in on AI creation until they have assurances that it's copyrighted.
Yeah, because if it's like, we spent all this money, time, effort, whatever, training our Disney AI model, language model, whatever, our animation machine. They'll probably call it Walt just to...
Oh my God, they probably will.
But the thing is, Walt probably wouldn't love this.
But the L will be like an I, but it'll supposed to be like a lowercase L.
Oh no.
Like something AI something.
Yeah. So do you think we're joking? They'll totally do that. But yeah, they'll spend all this money, training it, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, somebody like hacked it, and then now they can animate just like Disney, and it's totally legal.
Yeah, Walt's AI team. Yeah, because if the I could look like an L, a 1, they could just use it for AI.
Yeah, well, that's what they're doing with the Grok logo. Have you seen that? With
no,
the XAI,
I haven't looked at it.
That.
No.
Yeah. So this is interesting too. This company is what's keeping them from using AI. Number 1 is the lack of skilled AI personnel. And then consumer backlash, then copyright, but all the way down here, employee talent resistance to backlash. Basically, you're less than halfway through until you get to them being like, oh yeah, our employees might not like it.
Yeah, and then budgetary.
Yeah.
Unclear return on investment, because honestly, that's what they care about.
That's what they care about.
Environmental impact, they're not going to care about that.
So I mean, here's the thing. Like, again, I'm not trying to be like, neater, you guys are all unemployed, whatever. But I think
Not at all.
What we're going to see happen is Hollywood is going to be a lot more, for the immediate future, they're going to be a lot more safe because they lost a lot of money on a lot of
They're going to play it safe, but they're going to be leaner and meaner.
They're going to be leaner and meaner, and a lot of people are going to, this is going to be it. You're going to be out of the industry. Everything's changing. I mean, I remember the big change from traditional print, from paper magazines and newspapers to digital in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, when we actually had pre-press houses back then. We had they basically shot the film to make plates for they're gone. They're all gone. Photo developers are all gone. And 2D animators are all gone.
Right. It always happens. Every time there's a new technology, it's not cool and it sucks, but it is what it is.
So let's wrap this up, guys. Good luck to those of you remaining, and I would highly recommend having a backup career. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you're doing. Always have a plan B. So please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.